Welcome to your WNBA News Update. Today, we are looking closely at a press conference moment that has everyone in women's basketball talking. It involves Caitlin Clark, the Indiana Fever, and a well-known local reporter, Scott Agnes of Fieldhouse Files. The clip went viral because of how clearly Caitlin reacted to one person compared to another. The difference in her body language, tone, and engagement was striking, and it has raised fair questions about trust, media relationships, and how rising stars manage the spotlight in the WNBA. We are going to lay out what happened, why it stood out, and what it means for coverage of the Fever and for women's basketball as a whole. Here is the scene. Caitlin Clark finishes her round at a Pro-Am event and sits down for questions. A reporter steps up, introduces himself as Scott Agnes from Fieldhouse Files, and asks about her competitive edge and putting on a show for fans who came to see her. Right away, you can see the change in Caitlin's face. She looks down. She barely makes eye contact. She listens without any real expression. When she speaks, her answer is brief and flat. It is professional, but it is not warm. She keeps it short, covers the basics, and moves on. It is the kind of reply athletes give when they want to meet their media duties, but do not want to give extra energy to the exchange. Minutes later, the contrast arrives. Another question comes from a different person, a representative from Visit St. Pete Clearwater. Caitlin looks up and smiles as soon as the introduction begins. She maintains steady eye contact. Her voice lifts. She engages with clear interest. She is even happy to add a few personal notes about the area, including family trips to St. Petersburg and what she and her teammates were able to enjoy during their time in town. It is the same player at the same press conference on the same day, yet the energy is completely different. The camera catches it from the start of each question to the final word of each answer. That kind of split makes people talk because anyone can read it. It's human nature. When you feel at ease with someone, your face opens up, your tone softens, and you lean in. When you feel unsure or frustrated with someone, you pull back, you keep your words short, you stick to the point, and move on. Caitlin Clark is a pro, and she treats everyone with basic respect in these settings. But she also sets clear boundaries. In this moment, those boundaries were obvious. She gave one reporter the minimum. She gave another reporter her full attention. It looked personal because it likely was. For those who do not follow the Indiana Fever daily, Scott Agnes covers the team closely for a site called Fieldhouse Files. He's been in the room for many games and practices and has done plenty of reporting on the Fever throughout the season. Fans in Indianapolis know his work. They read his pieces and listen to his interviews. He's part of the small group of media who followed the team all year. That is why this clip stands out. It's not a stranger walking into a scrum. It's a regular. And Caitlin's reaction to him is not what you see when there is trust. So why the cold front? Many Fever fans and WNBA followers point to two specific moments over the past year that likely changed the relationship between Caitlin Clark and Scott Agnes. The first is a piece he published in mid-season that framed a portion of Caitlin's online fan base as a dark side. The words set off a firestorm. Some readers felt he was calling the entire wave of new fans a problem. Others saw his point as focused on a small, loud group of accounts who crossed the line in online debates. Either way, the phrase cut deep. From Caitlin's point of view, those fans had filled arenas, boosted TV ratings, and helped the WNBA hit new heights. Putting a negative label on the people who buy jerseys, travel to games, and lift the league did not sit well with many, including the player most connected to that surge. Fan culture in women's basketball is powerful. It drives attendance, it fuels social media, and it brings sponsors into the WNBA. When an outlet labels a group of those fans in a harsh way, even if the goal is to call out bad behavior by a few people, it can divide the larger base. It also risks painting a rising audience with a single brush. Caitlin has been very careful about how she represents her supporters. She thanks them often, she avoids feeding into online fights, and she tries to keep the focus on the court and the growth of the league. A headline or a line that frames her fans in a negative light can disrupt that approach. It can also create tension in a locker room that depends on a united home crowd and a positive environment. The second issue is even more sensitive. During the season, Scott reported on an injury within the Fever that the team had not announced yet. He published details behind a subscription paywall and framed it as insider coverage for his readers. From a media point of view, that's a normal part of the job. Beat reporters break news, they confirm information, they give fans details they can't get anywhere else. That's what subscribers pay for. From a player and team point of view, it can feel different. If you're trying to protect a teammate, guard a rotation change, or keep opponents off balance, a leaked injury update can hurt your game plan. Even if the reporting is accurate and fair, the timing might be out of step with how the team needs to operate. This is the heart of the push and pull between teams and media in the WNBA and in all sports. Reporters have a responsibility to cover the team honestly, to ask hard questions, and to share real information. Players and coaches have a responsibility to compete at their best, to protect each other, and to control what they can. Both sides are doing their jobs. Both sides will sometimes clash. It gets tricky when the subject is not a game recap, but the group of fans who support the team, or a detail about a player's health that the organization wants to handle in-house. That is when trust gets tested. If a player thinks a reporter creates division or reveals sensitive details too soon, they may choose distance over warmth. Now go back to that press conference clip with this context in mind. Caitlin's body language around Scott Agness makes more sense. She listens, she answers, she doesn't add color or personality. She doesn't engage beyond what the question requires. Then she pivots to the next person. This is not a dramatic scene. There is no call-out, there is no back and forth. It's a quiet reset. She's sending a message without turning a press event into a viral argument. It shows discipline and control. It also shows she knows exactly how to use the moment to set a tone for future interactions. Caitlin Clark is one of the most media-savvy athletes in the WNBA. She's been in front of cameras for years, from Iowa to the Fever. She understands how small signals can carry big meaning. She knows every clip can become a headline in minutes. By treating two reporters so differently within the same setting, she draws a clear line without saying a word about it. The message is simple. Respect the fan base that supports women's basketball. Be careful with sensitive team details. If you do, you'll get more than a basic answer. If you don't, you'll get the minimum. That is not a threat, it's a boundary. For other reporters around the Fever, this moment matters. Access is currency in beat coverage. Thoughtful answers and extra context make a piece or a video stand out. When a star decides to hold back, you feel it. The quotes are shorter, the tone is colder. Readers can tell. That is an informal but powerful consequence. It's not a ban, it's not a rule. It's a relationship change that affects daily work. It pushes media to think hard about their framing and their timing. It also pushes teams to communicate better so that fair coverage and fair competition can both happen. If you are Scott Agness, the path forward is not easy, but it is possible. Keep doing the job, keep asking fair, clear questions, keep reporting what you know and can confirm. At the same time, it may help to reset the tone. Make it clear that you respect the new fans who have joined the WNBA community. Make it clear that your goal is strong, honest coverage of the Indiana Fever and women's basketball, not clicks at any cost. This is not about walking back reporting. It's about building trust in how the reporting is done. Over time, consistency and fairness can repair a lot. Fans should also remember that tough coverage is part of a healthy league. The WNBA needs independent voices who can praise when it is earned and ask hard questions when needed. That's how the product gets better. That said, tone matters. Words matter. When coverage turns into broad labels that paint an entire group as a problem, it can harm more than it helps. The best media work sticks to facts, context, and the basketball. It sheds light without turning the fan base against itself. This moment matters for the WNBA because it shows how much attention the league now holds. A small glance in a press room becomes national conversation because the league has grown.
Caitlin Clark has helped bring in new viewers, and every move she makes gets watched, clipped, and discussed. That brings opportunity and pressure. It also puts a spotlight on how players and media interact. If the relationships are strong, everyone wins. If they break down, even a routine press conference can become a distraction. For Caitlin, the clip also showed something else. She handled the moment with calm and control. She did not skip the question. She did not escalate. She gave a clean reply and saved her warmth for a different exchange. That takes discipline, especially for a young player who lives under a magnifying glass. It is the same discipline she uses in late-game moments for the Indiana Fever. Stay steady. Make the next play. Do not give the other side easy fuel. For the press, there are also lessons here. Tough questions are fair. Reporting news is fair. Framing is crucial. When you discuss fans, be specific. When you break injury news, be mindful of timing and tone. During a long season, relationships matter. They affect what you hear, how much context you get, and how likely a player is to sit for a one-on-one feature later. You cannot control how someone reacts, but you can control how you operate. Clear standards and consistent respect go a long way in a crowded media space. We should also speak to the bigger trend across women's sports in the WNBA. Players have more power than ever. They can build direct lines to fans through social platforms and team channels. They can choose who gets access and how much. They can take control of their message and skip outlets they do not trust. That is the new reality. It brings benefits and risks. It can raise the overall level of coverage because reporters who earn trust get better material. It can also limit hard questions if access becomes the only currency. The best path is balance. Players hold their boundaries, reporters hold their standards. The league supports good coverage with better access and better planning. There is also a practical angle here for the Fever. As the season moves forward, you will see more press conferences, more pre-game and post-game media time, and more national hits for Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and the rest of the roster. This is a chance to set a clear tone. Keep the focus on the basketball, highlight growth, strategy, and adjustments, give credit to teammates, share community work the team is doing in Indianapolis. The more the coverage reflects the actual work in the gym and on the court, the better it is for the WNBA and for women's basketball fans. From a league point of view, this kind of clip is a reminder to invest in media training and strong communications. Help young stars manage tough questions. Help beat reporters get useful information without harming competitive plans. Build routine briefings so that injury status and timelines do not become a rumor mill. When the WNBA owns the message with steady, reliable updates, there is less pressure on independent outlets to rush into gray areas. That protects players and still gives fans what they need. None of this changes the fact that Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever are must-watch TV. The WNBA is in a growth phase. Ratings are up, arenas are loud, rookies are drawing national attention, veterans are playing at a high level, fans are engaged every night. Press moments like this are a small piece of a bigger picture. The big picture is simple. Keep the focus on the court. That is where Caitlin's game shines and where the Fever can keep building. Let's circle back to the questions that started this debate. Was Caitlin rude? No, she was firm. She answered the question. She kept it brief. Was Scott out of line for asking about her competitive fire and her role as a draw for fans? No, it is a fair question and a setting built for that. The tension sits in the history between them and the tone of past coverage. That is why one exchange looked cold and the next looked warm. If there had been no past friction, the clip probably goes nowhere. As viewers, the best thing we can do is watch with context. Understand that everyone has a job. The player has to perform and protect her team. The reporter has to inform and ask for clarity. When those roles collide, we get moments like this. They're part of a growing league and a growing audience. They do not have to be fights. They can be chances to reset how we talk about the WNBA, how we treat fans, and how we cover the Indiana Fever in a way that helps more people fall in love with women's basketball. If you're a Fever fan, here is what to watch next. Look for how Caitlin handles questions from different outlets over the next few weeks. See if she opens up more when the focus is on game planning, teammates, and community events. Look for how Fieldhouse Files frames future pieces. Pay attention to how the team communicates injuries and updates. These are all signs of whether trust is being rebuilt or not. The more aligned everyone is, the better the coverage and the less the noise. If you're a WNBA fan in general, this is a good time to support balanced coverage. Share highlights from across the league, not just one team. Read and watch outlets that treat players with respect while still asking real questions. Engage with content that explains the game, the schemes, and the player development. That is how we make the conversation smarter and more useful for the next wave of fans who are just joining the WNBA.
In the end, this press conference moment says a lot without a single headline being spoken. It shows a rising superstar owning her space. It shows a beat reporter standing in a tough spot between news and relationships. It shows a fan base that is passionate and vocal about how their favorite player is covered. And it shows a league that is big enough now that even small clips can shape national talk for days. That is the reality of modern WNBA news. Caitlin Clark will keep driving interest in the Indiana Fever. She will keep showing why her game draws crowds and why sponsors line up around women's basketball. She will also keep setting limits where she feels they are needed. That is part of being a leader on and off the court. Reporters will keep digging. They will keep asking. They will also take note of what earns trust and what breaks it. That is how the beat works. We will continue to follow how this dynamic evolves and what it means for WNBA media day to day. We will keep covering the Indiana Fever, Caitlin Clark's progress, and the best matchups around the league. Let us know what you think about the clip, the reactions, and the balance between media access and player comfort. Do you think Caitlin was right to keep it short with Scott Agnes? Do you think the dark side label went too far? How should beat reporters handle injury information that the team has not announced? Your views matter because WNBA fans are driving this growth. Thanks for watching and for being part of this community. Stay locked in for more WNBA news, Indiana Fever coverage, Caitlin Clark press conference highlights, and women's basketball analysis that puts the game first. Keep supporting the league, keep the conversation respectful, and keep showing why this sport has the most dedicated fans anywhere.